Hello everyone, welcome to the lecture series of Computer Organization and Advanced Microprocessors. This is our lecture number 24. We have started the topic memory organization and management from the last video, right? And we have seen that what is memory. We also correlate the computer memory with the human brain, how computer memory stores the data and how it works, right? Basic things we have seen in the previous video. Today we'll discuss about the some memory parameters, important parameters. What are the different memory parameters that we will learn? So let's start. Okay, now let's discuss about the memory parameters. Normally what happens when we go to buy a computer memory, we get confused, right? Which type of memory we should buy. Simple example, pen drive, right? When you decide to buy a pen drive, very first thing which comes into your mind is a size, that 16 GB hard pen drive, 32 GB pen drive. But it is not the only case that only size matters. Along with the size, along with the capacity, other four important points or important parameters are there which we need to buy, which we need to keep in mind while we are buying the computer memory. So here we have four different parameters. Size, we know very well about the size. Then the speed. Speed means the access time, that how much time it takes to access the data. Then there is a latency, and then we have a bandwidth. We will see about all these parameters in detail in next slides. But before that, look at this diagram. This is the memory hierarchy diagram. Here you can see that all the memories are placed in each column. That is the rank-wise. See, in the very bottom you can find the secondary storage, but this secondary storage are the like web servers and other distributed file systems. So normally these are the remote secondary storage. But when we talk about our computer system, that is our personal computer system, then the memory starts with the local disk, that is your hard disk, or we also call them the secondary storage, right? And these are the highest in the capacity means they are larger. But compared to ram, that is your main memory, but compared to ram they are slower, means upside, one step ahead. See, they are comparatively slower, and of course they are cheaper, means if we compare the ram and your hard disk. So of course, compared to RAM, hard disk is larger, slower and cheaper, right? So this is the way that when you go upside from bottom to top, you can find that the size of the memory is getting smaller, but their speed increasing, and they are very much costlier than the lower side the storage devices. And the similar with the when you go from the top to bottom, you can find the memories larger, slower and cheaper. So this is the memory hierarchy. So you have local disk, that is your hard disk, then you have RAM, then you have cache, but we have total three level of cache, right? So L3, then L2, then L1, and the smallest component of memory is a register. We know that register stores only 1 byte, right? 1 bit, sorry. So this is the memory hierarchy. So these are the most important parameters for the memory: size, speed, latency and the bandwidth. So now let's start with each parameter in detail. Okay, now let's start with the first parameter, that is the memory size or capacity. Normally what happens in a computer system, all the memories are organized in some particular number of locations. Let's take one example. We'll take one example. Suppose here I have this this is my memory, suppose, right? And I have organized in such a way, so I can have total 4 locations. I have designed this way. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is the memory, and I have organized in a such a way. So total I have 4 locations. Location 1, location 2, location 3 and location 4. So each location can store fixed number of bits. Total how many locations we have? 4, and each location can store fixed number of bits. Okay, so based on the organization, here you can see that I can store 4 bits, right? 1, 2, 3 and 4 means each location can store how many bits? 4 bits. Total 4 bits we can store in each location. So based on this, number of bits each location can store is known as the word length. So here we can say that particularly for this memory the word length is 4, right? Because you can store maximum 4 bits in the particular location, so the word length is a 4 bits. Now memory capacity, how to calculate the memory capacity? So to calculate the memory capacity, first you need to find the number of locations which will be multiplied by the word length. So here let's calculate the memory capacity for this given tag, for this given memory. Number of locations, see this is number of locations. So how many locations we have? 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so we have total 4 locations. Multiply by word length. What is the word length? We have already calculated the word length, that is the 4, and if we calculate this we will get the 16, right? So okay, here you can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16. Okay, so I got, see this is a very small number, right? Small size we have taken as an example, but when we talk about the large memory size, in that case you can calculate the memory capacity very easily. So here we have given one example, that suppose there are total 1024 locations and the capacity of each location is suppose 16 bits. So in that case the total capacity of the memory would be 16384. So this is how you can calculate the memory size. Okay, now let's understand that how to calculate the memory capacity with one example. Here we have one sum and it is stated a computer has memory with 2k locations of each 16 bits and find the memory capacity. It's a simple one, right? Here we have number of locations and also we have word length. So first let's find out all, let's just mention all the given information. So here we have the word length, that is 16 bits, and just for the ease of calculation let's convert it into the bytes, and so we have 2 bytes, right? So word length 2 bytes. Then we have 2k locations, 2k, so it's already with the k, so we don't need to convert it into the b, we can do it directly, right? And solution. So we know what is the formula to calculate the memory size or a memory capacity. The formula is memory capacity is equal to number of locations multiplied by word length. So let's put all the values and get the answer. So 2k multiplied by 2b is equal to, final answer is 4kb. So it's quite easy, right? But now let's understand this calculation little bit in a detail. So here we have the calculation. As you can see that we have number of locations, that is 2k we have, right? K means, what is the meaning of k? K means value 201024, that is the value for the k. Now because we have bytes, that is word length bytes. So for the ease, as I told you, for the ease we'll convert all the values into the single unit. So let's convert this k into the b, and for that 2 multiplied by 1024, and so we'll get 202048 bytes. So I got the number of locations in with the unit bytes. Now 16 bits, okay. So 16 bits we have already converted into the bytes. To convert it into the bytes, just divide it by 8, and so finally we got the 2b. Okay, so now we have two values. First, number of locations, that is 2048, and word length, that is 2b. Now we have the formula. What is the formula? Formula says now memory capacity is equal to number of locations multiplied by word length. Okay, so now let's calculate it. So 2048 multiplied by 2, and finally we got 4096 bytes. So here your answer is in the bytes, right? Answer is in the bytes. This is. But we know that when we measure the capacity or when we check the size, we normally have KB, MB, GB like that, right? So to convert this byte into the kilobyte, we know that what is the conversion for the 1 KB, 1 kilobyte is equal to 1024 bytes. This we know, right? Okay, so by just placing this value, just divide this value. So we have 4096 divided by 1024, and finally we got 4 kilobytes as an answer, right? So yes, it's an easy calculation. So this is all about the how to calculate memory capacity. Our next parameter is a speed. So speed of memory is normally measured by two parameters. One is the access time and the second is the cycle time. Now let's first understand the access time. So what is the meaning of access time? See what happens when you give any signal, when you give any command to the system, and the system gives that go to the memory, but for whatever the operation, it may be reading operation or the writing operation, but the time taken by that memory to complete a read or a write operation from the instant it received the read write signal, right? That is the access time. Because when you give signal, when you give the command, it may take some time to read or write to complete that operation, so that we call the access time. And the second is the after the read and write operation, memory is still busy with some internal operation for some time, which is known as the recovery time. It might be possible that the system is busy with some other operation like closing the document or cleaning the garbage or any cleaning any other internal or a background process may be there, so that we call the recovery time. So access time, in access time you can find two things. One, the time taken by the memory to complete a read or a write operation, and the second is a recovery time. Then we have the cycle time. What is the meaning of cycle time? Simple. Cycle time means a total time from one memory operation to initialization of the next memory operation. See, suppose you have given two different commands, right? First, and of course, both the commands will be in the queue. Let's take an example. See, suppose this is the queue, right? Suppose you have given the operation A, and after that you have given the command for the operation B. Now what happens, this A command, so see what we are talking about, we are talking about the memory operation. So this is A and the B. So A will be completed in whatever the time, and after that my B will come. So the total time from one memory operation to initialize the second, because we know that this A may take time. First it can take the access time, and another can be the recovery time in the case if it is busy with something, right? So this A can have two different time. One is the access time plus another is the recovery time. So how much time it takes to initialize the second memory operation that we call the cycle time. So it's very easy. So speed has two different parameters. One is the access time, then other is the cycle time, right? And in access time we also need to remember about the recovery time. So it's about the speed of the memory. Okay, so the third parameter is the latency. So in some memory types like the hard disk, due to internal organization, the first access to a location takes longer access time than the successive other locations. Normally what happens, you may find the different organization of the memory. For example, let's say, okay, let's say this is the memory. Right, this is the memory. It might be possible that the organization of this memory is like, suppose you are over here and you want to reach over here. It might be possible that it has to go through all the locations and then it can reach over here. So this is the one type of organization. In the other type of organization, it may be possible that you want to reach over here and right now you are over here and you can directly jump over here. So it means it depends, latency time depends on the organization or the internal structure of that particular memory. And so the latency is the access time taken by the first access in a series of accesses. So here we have one example, and let's understand this example. See, disk latency is there. So the time for the head, see this, the time for the head to stick to the right track on the disk. This is the disk latency. Time for the head to stick to the right track on the disk. What does it mean? Let's draw one simple diagram. Okay, let's say that this is the disk. Don't see my drawing, huh guys? It's not that good and it is really difficult to draw on screen. Board is actually good. So okay, this disk has been divided into tracks and different sectors, right? So this is the disk. This is the disk. So all these are the memory blocks. All these are the memory blocks. Now uh, to perform the read and write operation, you have head. You have head, right? This head can be of two types. One, this can be fixed, and second, it can be movable. It might be movable. Now depending on this whole architecture, latency may vary, right? Because see, suppose okay, suppose right now your head is over here and suppose it is fixed, means first you need to rotate the disk and then the head will little bit move, right? Movable means what does it mean? Movable means this head can go forward or a backward, either it can go forward or the backward, this. And fixed, and the movable means it can jump anywhere, it can be up, can go down, like that, right? So the time for the disk to rotate the data's location, because no, here two things are happening. One, the disk is rotating and at the same time your head is moving. It can be moving forward or a backward, right? Only these two things can be possible. And fixed means it is not moving anywhere, you just need to rotate the disk. So depending upon this whole architecture, latency may vary. So in a single line we can say that the latency is the access time taken by the first access in a series of accesses. See, series of accesses means what? That if you have given multiple jobs, multiple tasks, means sometimes see, suppose you are over here, and you want to and you have three different jobs, 1 2 and 3. So this is the series of accesses, means first series 1, so your 1 is over here, your 2 is over here, and your 3 is over here. So you are right now at this position, and first you need to go to the 1, then you will go to the 2, and then 3. So by any organization, by any method, how much time it takes to access the first access, right? To first access in a given series of accesses, and that we call the latency. Latency is nothing but the time. Latency is nothing but the time taken by the first access in a series of accesses or to perform the operation, right? You have given multiple operations and you are just accessing the location, that we call the latency. Okay, so fourth and the last parameter is a bandwidth. So what is bandwidth? So bandwidth is the rate at which data can be read from or stored into a semiconductor memory by a processor. Let's understand this bandwidth. Bandwidth is also termed a rate of data transfer. See, suppose let's say here you have a one pipe, water pipe. This is the water pipe, and the water is flowing this way. So this is the flow of water. Simple, right? Is easy. Now you have another pipe. Now you have this pipe. The flow is same. The supply of water, the amount of water is same, but this pipe cannot take that much of data, right? And this is called the bandwidth of pipe, means the rate of data transfer, how much water can be supplied through this pipe or this pipe, the amount of water, that we call the that we call the bandwidth of the pipe. And similar for the computers, right? Similar for the computers, that when we talk about the bandwidth, you need to keep in mind that when we perform read or a write operation, and this operation will be performed by the processor only, right? So uh, the rate at which data can be read or stored, so how much time it takes, how much time, no, how much data it passes. Keep in mind, not time, how much data it passes in given time. Time is of course mandatory, but in some particular duration, just like for this 3 liter water in 1 minute, and here 1 liter water in 1 minute. So the bandwidth is always the ratio of the quantity over with the time. So bandwidth is termed as a rate of data transfer. So it is expressed in the bytes per second. As I told you that two entities are there in the bandwidth. The first entity is the amount and the second entity is the time. So here, because we are talking about the data transfer, our first entity is the bytes and the second is the second, right? And the formula to calculate the bandwidth is 1 upon Tc. Remember what is Tc? Tc is nothing but the cycle time. Remember, cycle time. This is the cycle time. And what is the cycle time formula? Cycle time formula is the access time plus the recovery time. Okay, so this is about the bandwidth. One image has been given over here. It's a simple pipe, and you can see the latency, means the time taken by the accesses, first access in a given access series, and the bandwidth means the how much data it can pass in the given time. So simple, bandwidth means the capacity of transferring the data in some particular given time. So it's all about the bandwidth. Okay, now let's understand that how to calculate the bandwidth of the memory. So here we have an example that a memory has access time of 20 nanoseconds. So access time has been given. Then a time gap of 5 nanosecond is necessary from completion of one access to the beginning of the next access. Means this is the recovery time, right? This is the recovery time, and from that we have to calculate the bandwidth. So we know that the formula for the bandwidth is 1 upon Tc, that is 1 upon Tc, that is the cycle time. And to calculate the cycle time we need access time and the recovery time, right? So the data given is access time is equal to 20 nanosecond, then we have recovery time, that is the 5 nanosecond, and cycle time, the formula for the cycle time is Ta plus Tr, and which is after the adding 20 and 5 we got the 25 nanosecond. Now the formula for the bandwidth, that is 1 upon Tc, and here we got the cycle time 25, so 1 upon 25 nanosecond. But we know that bandwidth cannot have the unit ns, we need to convert it into the megahertz, right? Bandwidth always bandwidth has a unit megahertz, and so this is 0.04 nanosecond, and to convert this nanosecond into the megahertz we need to multiply this value by the 10 raised to 3 to convert it into, this is the conversion unit, right? Conversion value. And so finally we got the 40 megahertz. So this is how you can calculate the bandwidth of the memory, right? Okay. Okay guys, so it was all about the major memory parameters. We have discussed about the memory size, its speed, latency and the bandwidth. Also we have seen the examples on how to calculate bandwidth and the size. So study well, happy learning, and thank you.